Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. I'm your host, Calvin Timms. You can find me over on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. And this is some bonus content for you guys. I promised you earlier in the week that I'd be putting it out. And today I'm not going to be talking about anything super fantasy related. It's a tangent to fantasy football because what happens with Justin Fields is going to have implications for his dynasty value, right? But the narrative around Justin Fields right now, I think, is getting out of hand. And in my opinion, it's creating a pretty good buy window for Justin Fields because the dude is a massive talent. And, I just wanted to give my input into why I don't think that the Bears are going to move on from Justin Fields and what they should be doing instead. So first things first, I want to talk about the player himself. So Justin Fields, he's got 2 years of experience. First year, he only played half the year. That year with Matt Nagy as his head coach, calling the plays and everything. The problem is the Bears, even in his rookie year, have just gotten worse and worse ever since then. So plays his first year with Matt Nagy, then last year had a full season with the new head coach. Eberflus was the guy that they brought in. He's a defensive-minded head coach. They brought in Luke Getsy from the Green Bay Packers, who was the quarterback coach with Aaron Rodgers. They brought him in to be the offensive coordinator. Beginning of the season, the team really struggled early on, but right around, probably around week 6, week 7, somewhere in that range, they really started to put it together in terms of real life play. Now, the talk about Justin Fields has gotten a little out of hand for both, in my opinion, the pro crowd and the anti crowd. Justin Fields, let's be honest with what he is right now as a prospect, right? Or as a player. He is one of the best athletes at the quarterback position. The dude is just a stud. He might be a better runner than Lamar Jackson. It's very, very close. Those two are in a league of their own in terms of rushing mobility at the quarterback position. Jalen Hurts is up there as well. These are the type of supreme rushing athletes that we're talking about at the quarterback position. Now, Justin Fields had issues coming out of Ohio State in the passing game. There was a lot of talk. Ohio State, they always had very, very talented wide receivers there. They had a very simple system that generated a lot of separation for those wide receivers. So Justin Fields really didn't have to diagnose a ton of defenses in college. A lot of people were concerned about that. They said that he only looks at the first read, yada, yada, yada. He's not that bad. He's not that inept, but we are seeing a little bit of those issues right now in his passing game attack for the Chicago Bears. On the flip side, though, let's talk about the team real quick. Justin Fields might be one of the best rushers in the league, but this team is one of the worst talented teams in the entire NFL. There's a reason why the Chicago Bears have $98 million in salary cap. It's one of the highest salary cap teams in the history of the salary cap era. They have so much money to spend right now on anybody and everything. I was playing around with a calculator earlier today, just seeing who they could add. Now, here's the one issue. They can't really add a ton of skill players in terms of receiving weapons. But on the flip side, they do have a lot of potential running backs that they can bring in, a Saquon Barkley, someone like that, a Josh Jacobs. And there's a lot of offensive linemen that are out there that they could basically rebuild this offensive line from scratch and make these guys all the highest paid at their positions and have a very, very talented offensive line. Taylor Lewan got cut today. Orlando Brown from the Chiefs. Both of those guys would be very, very interesting. Connor McGovern, I think it would be a good center. There's quite a few players that they could really look at bringing in to, like I said, completely rebuild this offensive line. They have so much money that they could rebuild the offensive line. They could go and get a Josh Jacobs, a Saquon Barkley, one of those guys in free agency, a Miles Sanders, someone you view as an upgrade over David Montgomery. They could even bring David Montgomery back. And then you could even, almost completely rebuild the defense, at least the defensive front for this team as well. That's how much money, if you completely front loaded these contracts, you could bring in about 8-9 superstars for this team. So they have a lot of money. They can fix a lot of the holes. But as of right now, what we saw in 2022, this team is just inept. They tried to make a move. They gave up the 201, essentially, the 33rd, 32nd, I guess, in this year's draft class, because there's only 31 first-round picks. But the 32nd overall pick for Chase Claypool to Pittsburgh, and that did not work out. Chase Claypool has been essentially a bust since coming into the NFL. He's shown some glimpses, but never really got it going with the Chicago Bears. And again, their offensive line is one of the worst in the entire NFL. So it never really gave Justin Fields a chance to develop the passing game usage. Now, you look at his stats, and it's very similar to Jalen Hurts in his second year. They're on a very similar trajectory so far. The difference is, I would actually say that Justin Fields in college showed a better passing profile than Jalen Hurts. And I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. I was a very, very big fan. I thought he was actually going to be a first-round pick that year. I was hoping the Patriots would take him. I was all aboard that for Jalen Hurts. He went to the Eagles, and things have worked out pretty well for him so far. But Justin Fields, I believe, is a better rusher and a better passer than Jalen Hurts, and that is big praise for Justin Fields. Now, all of this kind of talk leads right into, what should the Bears do with the 101? Should they trade Justin Fields and take Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, CJ Stroud, one of these guys? You know, you can move Justin Fields, get another pick. Oh, yeah, great. Or you can trade back from the 101 and get a few more pieces that way. And here's the thing, you know, I'm an engineer, so I like to break things down logically, at least in my brain, right? If you move Justin Fields, the best you're going to be able to get right now is maybe the 104 from the Colts, the 107 from the Raiders, the 109 from the Panthers. You're not really going to be able to probably get more than that back from him right now. Everyone and their brother has said that he's not worth more than just one first-round pick. So you're going to get a first-round pick for Justin Fields. Or you can trade out of the 101, and the reason why the 101 is more valuable than Justin Fields is the 101 could be Bryce Young. It could be Will Levis. It could be Anthony Richardson. It could be CJ Stroud. It gives you flexibility with whoever's coming up to get their guy, that they don't even have to have that guy set at the time that they make the trade. They can waffle until that pick is due, right? Until the draft card has to be submitted. They can go back and forth between CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, any of these guys, and it just gives them flexibility. That's huge for the value that you could get. Now, there's already been talks that the Indianapolis Colts, if they were to come up to 101 from 4, that they would have to use basically this year's first and next year's first to get that done. That's 2 firsts. That's an extra first that you're not going to get if you're going to have Justin Fields. Now, I personally don't understand why you would not take the extra picks. You have a known quantity in Justin Fields, and you're really telling me that you're going to, you know, bank on a Will Levis, an Anthony Richardson, a Bryce Young. All of these guys have massive concerns. You know, as much as I like the prospects of some of these guys, they all have concerns too. We've seen what they can do in college. They have not done this yet at the NFL level. And, you know, all you have to do is go back just 2 years ago to Zach Wilson, right? Everyone thought he was going to be a guaranteed stud. He was going to be able to do anything. And he just has not worked out at the NFL level. Trey Lance has not worked out yet. You know, there's some circumstances around that at the NFL level. Mac Jones, as good as he was in college, has not been elite at the NFL level. There's a lot of risk about these guys, and I know that it's hype season and, oh, we got to get our guy. Bryce Young's going to be the best quarterback that we've ever seen for a 180-pound guy that 5'10". That might be true, but there's a lot of risk with that as well. So you're going to tell me that you're only going to move Justin Fields for 1 first, and then you're going to take a massive risk on a guy at 101. So let's say you get the 104 from the Colts. You're going to take Bryce Young at 101 and then Jalen Carter or Will Anderson or one of these guys at the 4 spot. versus trading out of the 101, keeping Justin Fields and getting an extra first next year where you have Justin Fields, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, one of these other guys, and a first for next year. It just doesn't really make sense. The other reason why, and a lot of people are going to say, well, Justin Fields could be worth 2 firsts. Why is he not worth 2 firsts? The problem is you're getting Justin Fields with 2 years of his rookie contract wasted and question marks through the passing game. I believe that if the Bears rebuild this offensive line, if they add a couple of weapons, unfortunately, it's not the best wide receiver market. Maybe they can trade for a T. Higgins. Maybe they can trade for, a Brandon Ayuk, someone like this, a Jerry Jeudy, somebody younger that they could build as a core around Justin Fields. That would be great for this team. But if they just go the free agency route, they've got Darnell Mooney already on the roster. They could get Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs would be the best add for them, in my opinion. He would fit Justin Fields' style a little bit better. Saquon's really, really good, but I just don't think that he would work as well for this offense as someone like a Josh Jacobs. So let's say you get Josh Jacobs. You have Darnell Mooney. Chase Claypool is still there. He's not the best candidate, but you could go and sign someone like a Paris Campbell, who's a free agent from the Colts, a DJ Chark, one of these two type of players who have a lot of potential still left in them. They're not elite guys, but they can definitely fill a role. They're probably better than Chase Claypool at this point in time, so you're upgrading your position there. And then if you trade back out of the 101, let's say you trade back to the 107 with the Raiders or something like this, you can get Jackson Smith and Jigba, you can get a Quentin Johnston, or you can get one of these top guys in the second round, a Kayshon Boutte. You can go and get one of these guys that's going to be your new X wide receiver, your alpha dog on this team. And now all of a sudden Justin Fields has a lot of potential around him as well, right? Now, the reason why you're not going to get 2 firsts for him is because you have question marks through the air. And again, there's the reasoning behind that is the offensive line, the lack of weapons, everything like that. If you build all those up and he's still bad through the air, then we have a very serious problem. But other teams trading for Justin Fields are going to bring that up to devalue him, as well as the fact that he's wasted 2 years of his rookie contract, where if you're getting a Bryce Young, let's just say it's Bryce Young because that's kind of the consensus. I would not be trading up for Bryce Young if it was me, but let's say you trade up for Bryce Young at the 101, you now have 5 years of rookie cost control contract with Bryce Young, right? You don't have to worry about paying him money in the next couple of years, where Justin Fields, you've got this year and next year, and then you have to make a big decision on whether or not you're going to pay this guy or let him walk in free agency. You pick up his 5th-year option. A lot of guys nowadays are not playing on the 5th-year option. They're threatening holdouts and things like this, and it just gets kind of messy in that regard. So that's the other piece. You couple the question marks through the passing game with the wasted couple of years on his rookie contract for a team picking him up, adding him to their roster, and it's just going to devalue Justin Fields versus, again, the unknown rookie where you have 5 years of cost control and you have the option to get any of them, anybody that you want, right? So that's the reason why you're not going to be able to get 2 firsts for Justin Fields, whereas trading back from the 101. So I think that this coaching staff is in this front office are pretty smart. Excuse me. But I think that they're pretty smart guys, and they're going to they're probably just playing the game, to be honest with you. They're going to just keep Justin Fields. Again, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. If you trade back with the Colts, let's play a little bit of fix your roster right now with the Chicago Bears, right? Again, they have $98 million of cap space in free agency coming up here in just a couple of weeks. That should be fun. Let's say they add a Josh Jacobs. He's probably going to go for about 11, maybe 12 million a year. Again, you could front load that, but again, you could also back load that contract. They have no real superstars on this roster, so over the next couple of years, they have a lot of flexibility, and they're at 98 million with I think 53 players on the roster. They could cut that down to about 40 guys that you're replacing with all these free agents, and you're going to be around $110 million in cap space. So that's a lot of money. Let's say you get a Josh Jacobs for $11 million. You get an Orlando Brown, a Taylor Lewan. You pay him $20 million this year. Right there, that's a lot of money, but it's not even a third of what you have in free agency that you can spend. You can get 6 of these guys, these top tier players. Now, let's say you get a Paris Campbell for $8 million a year. I think that'd be pretty fair for a Paris Campbell right now. Paris is not the best player, but I think that what he showed this year with a nightmare situation with the Indianapolis Colts deserves a chance somewhere, right? I don't think that you're going to, again, pay him to be your number 1 guy, but if he can come in and be the solid intermediate field guy for this team, I think that'd be a great addition to this offensive group, right? Because you have Darnell Mooney, who's more of a deeper threat. He's kind of that deeper guy. He's got that speed and separation quantities. Paris Campbell's more of the intermediate underneath kind of guy. Then you get a Jackson Smith-Njigba who can kind of play everywhere. And then all of a sudden your wide receiver core has all of it kind of covered right now. That's why I don't really love a DJ Chark with this one. He kind of meshes more with the Darnell Mooney's type of skill set. You need that intermediate type of player. But let's say you get a Paris Campbell for $8 million. You bring in a right tackle. I don't have the free agent list pulled up in front of me, but there's a lot of guys. You bring in a center. I know that they're paying their 2 guards quite a bit of money right now, so you upgrade 3 pieces of the offensive line right there. Then you can go and get a Brandon Graham, a free agent from the Eagles. You can go get a corner. I think there's Josh Jones from the New England Patriots. He's a free agent. Marcus Peters is a free agent cornerback. You could go pay him a boatload of money. That money is going to be able to bring in a lot of guys there on this team and really improve them. So you trade out of the 101 now. So let's say you trade to the 104 with the Indianapolis Colts. Let's say just hypothetically it goes, Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson, then Bryce Young, or CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. Those are the top 2 picks. Then the Cardinals, they take Will Anderson at 3. All of a sudden, you're back on the clock at 4. Now, there's 2 quarterbacks left on the board. Will Levis, I cannot understand for the life of me why people think that he could be the number 1 overall guy. But let's say now all of a sudden you trade back with Carolina Panthers for the 109 or the Las Vegas Raiders for the 7 pick. You trade back again. Now you have an extra 2nd round pick for this year's draft on top of the first that you got from the Colts for next year. And you picked up 2 extra drafts. And all of a sudden at 7, you can get Jackson Smith-Njigba to pair with Justin Fields. That's how you could do it while picking up extra draft capital in this year's draft and, not reaching on someone like a Jackson Smith-Njigba who is kind of controversial in this draft class for some reason. I think that he's going to be a stud. And you put him with his high school or his college quarterback for a couple years there and just let these guys cook together and see what you have. So I don't think that the Bears are actually going to trade away Justin Fields. I think it would be silly to do that. But, there's a lot of talk about it right now, and it's a lot of noise, but I think you just have to ignore it for the most part from all these different air quote analysts out there because, so many people, I'm putting out my opinion onto a microphone. I'm being genuine about it, though, and kind of explaining to you guys where the thought process is coming from. There's a lot of people out there that just say stuff to say stuff. They don't give any real depth of thought to it. They just do. They say whatever comes to their mind, and it's not great. You know what I mean? It's just people need to be better about this, but that's the current culture we live in, and that's why it's so garbage out there, right? So. That said, I don't think the Bears are going to trade Justin Fields. I think they're going to trade the 101. I think they're going to completely rebuild this offense in this upcoming draft and free agency, and I am here for it. So, like I said, this is bonus content. This is for you guys. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know over on YouTube, over on Twitter. Like, comment, subscribe on the video, wherever you're listening to this. It would just give me a little bit of confirmation that you do like this kind of content. Maybe I can start putting out more bonus content that's not necessarily just fantasy related, just talking a little bit of ball and my opinions on some of this stuff where, if we can get enough feedback from you guys, I'll make it happen. So that said, follow me over on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. Follow my co-host Dale. He's not here tonight for this one, but Dynasty_Dale. We appreciate you guys joining us. Tell the podcast to one friend if you can. If you don't mind, just tell it about us to one other person. And let me know your thoughts. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good night.